find just by that shift in awareness, it's much easier if you practice this alone, quiet, with your eyes closed. But then you get to the point literally where you're sitting in front of somebody who's yelling and screaming and nervous, and your eyes are open, this person thinks you're with them, but you're not. You've connected. Because if you were with them, you'd be going up and down along with them. Their stress would become your stress. Their emergency would become your emergency. By reconnecting with the breath, it makes us realize the source of what's within.
My name is Namita. You are a psychologist, right? So I would like to know this shift from psychology to, science to spirituality. And if at all you have ever worked as a psychologist, what kind of difference you find in people coming to you and expressing? Because psychologists also, people come with them, with their stress. And now also people come to you with their stress. So what is that difference?
A multi-part question. When you say psychology, I'm going to answer it based on Western psychology. And the reason I say that is, Indian psychology is actually interlinked with spirituality. So it would be much harder to distinguish the difference between traditional Indian psychology and spirituality, because they're really one. Indians we don't have a tradition, as Pujya Swamiji says, of psychiatrists in this country. People went to the saints, they went to the gurus. They were having a problem, they'd go to the temple. They'd go to see a saint. They'd get spiritual guidance. Psychology, as we think about it today, modern psychology, actually has come in from the West. Now, Western psychology has many benefits. It's not entirely useless. The problem with it, as far as I have seen, is that it's very, very good at taking us down into the darkness. It's very, very good at showing us what is the source of our problem, what is the source of our pain, what does that darkness feel like. The problem is, it has no idea how to get us back to the light. So people in Western psychology tend to be once you're in therapy, it's sort of like you're in therapy forever, because there's no end. And the issue is that insight is not in and of itself always healing. I knew a lot of people who could have written books on alcoholism, books on drug addictions, but that doesn't mean they were able to stop drinking or using drugs. They'd been in treatment and psychology for so long that they knew more than their therapists about why they drank, why they used drugs, what need they were trying to fill, what they were escaping from. They understood everything, but they were still using and still drinking. And that's where Western psychology falls short, is it shows us the darkness, it explains it to us, but it doesn't know how to turn on the light. And what spirituality does is it says, who cares what type of darkness it is? Who cares what the molecules of darkness are made out of? Who cares why it's dark or how long it's been dark? For God's sakes, let's find the light switch. And that's really the difference. And what spirituality does is it says, okay, fine, it was dark yesterday, but today's a new day. The sun is shining outside. Open your blinds. And it shows us how to open those blinds. Western psychology keeps you sitting inside looking at the blinds and what are the blinds made out of and when did I hang them and how thick they are and why did I choose this color of shutters. And spirituality comes in and says, open these blinds. And if you find a good guru, he'll open them for you.
Since I'm from China Central Television, I'm a foreigner. I should have the golden Buddha inside, I think. It's not, even though I'm not an Indian.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but like you said, actually my question is follow this gentleman. So you have, like you said, Indian people, they don't have that thick clay, in the outside. But it's supposed the people outside India, we have the thick clay like in outside all of our body. And what can we do? Since we are the foreigner, and also, I think we have the same problem. If you're asking all the CEOs or the leaders outside India, they will give you an answer, okay, I would be happy when or if. So what can we do? We just, all of us, we come to India and looking for the, okay, we find, okay, here the spiritual, the source. What can we do? So,
what is your name?
My name is Li Miao.
Elimia.
Yes.
Elimia, it's beautiful, and I'm so glad you've raised that. Let me clarify first what I meant, and then I'll answer your question. The golden Buddha is within everyone. Of course it is. What I mean by Indians having less thick clay is that Indian culture, Indian tradition, Indian philosophy, Indian spirituality has taught for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, probably forever. I mean, they say that Hinduism, they call it the eternal way of life. So they really don't even believe that there was ever a beginning, that it ever didn't exist. So this teaching has been eternal. Now, as far as I know, and I'm not a student of comparative religions, but as far as I know, it's the only religion of the world that says God is within you, and the source of what you want, the source of what you need, is within you. And it doesn't matter what form of the divine you worship, which way you worship, which name you worship. Just worship God. Why worship God? So we can connect with God within. It's not that God needs to be worshipped. It's not, that somehow he's feeling, unappreciated today and therefore we have to worship him. We need to worship God because that's how we connect. It's for our benefit. And because these teachings are here in India, and they're in the books. You could take a class in San Francisco or in Beijing or in Shanghai on Indian philosophy, I'm sure. But there's something very sacred here. I've lived in India 14 years and I've never taken a class in Indian philosophy. But it's in the air. It's in the water. You breathe it here. So it's not that the whole world has to come to India. But I really believe that the teachings of the Indian spiritual tradition, they're applicable to people all over the world. When Swamiji travels abroad, he's got huge followings of white Americans, white Europeans, black Africans. It's not that they're just Indians living abroad. Those teachings apply to everybody. When you hear those teachings, either in the land of India, or from someone who's not just reading to you from a book, somebody who's actually experienced it. And it's not that it can't be a Western person. There's wonderful, wonderful teachers abroad who have experienced it. There are many fewer than you find in India. So yes, it's possible for everyone. But I believe that the teaching and the path that's given within Indian culture and tradition is the simplest, the clearest, and the easiest path to that from any of the world traditions that I've seen.
I just wanted to ask, what is the difference between sleep and meditation? If there is a problem in the sleep, can it be cured by meditation?
Many people ask me when we teach meditation, because I always emphasize that the posture doesn't matter much. Otherwise, people become very, very fixated on the posture. I have to sit in Padmasana. So I always emphasize the posture doesn't matter much. And then inevitably somebody will say, can I lie down? And you can. It's not that you can't meditate lying down. The problem is what ends up happening is you're meditating and then you wake up. And as wonderful as sleep is, and as necessary as it is, it's not meditation.
Hello.
So sleep and meditation are very, very different things. Almost incomparable things. I mean, look, you go to sleep, look at your dreams. What a mess our mind is, where we reach in our dreams. So even in our dreams, the body's still, but the mind is as sick as ever. In fact, probably even sicker than it is when we're awake because we're not there exercising any sort of control over it. Sleep is wonderful. Do it. But meditation is also wonderful. And you also have to do that. Now, if you have trouble sleeping, if you're saying, can I use meditation as a cure? You can, and here's why. Typically, people have trouble sleeping due to overactive minds. We lie down in bed and our thoughts just keep going and going and going. So if rather than ending the day with TV shows or on the phone or our work that's just going to keep our mind going and going and going when we lie down, if we end the day with 20 minutes of meditation, the mind becomes quiet. The body needs to sleep. It's not the body that can't fall asleep. It's the mind that doesn't let us sleep. So if you have sleeping trouble, yes, meditation is a wonderful cure. Spend time in meditation before sleep. You're going to find not only has your sleep improved, but your waking hours have improved also.
Hello, Rajesh Gera. I have 2 lines to share something on similar to thoughts. Can I?
Of course.
They are in Hindi, but probably many of us would understand. नामुमकिन कुछ भी नहीं. अगर तुम ये ठान लो, अपने अंदर के छिपे हुए उस खुदा को पहचान लो. जमीन तो क्या, आसमान भी मुट्ठी में होगा. जमीन तो क्या, आसमान भी मुट्ठी में होगा. तुम्ही में बसा है खुदा, बस इतना तो मान लो. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Hello, my name is Rohan and I'm a student of science. So I've got this question. Basically, in science we are taught, or maybe we have this impression, that spirituality and science are somehow disconnected or they don't have the same root. So is this true, and what are your feelings, thoughts about it?
Science don't have to be two different things. The problem is the way that we understand science. What is science really? Science is a way of understanding the world around us. That's what science is. Biology is understanding the organic world, the world that's alive. Oceanography, we're studying life under the ocean. Right? Whatever, astronomy, we're studying life in outer space. Every aspect of science is trying to understand some aspect of the world around us. So it actually, at its roots, is very spiritual. Scientists and rishis began at the same place. How did we get here? How does it all work? What's it made out of? The problem is that what's happened in science is that we've adopted a fallacy. And the fallacy is, if I can measure it, it exists. And if I can't measure it, it doesn't exist. And what that has done is it's been almost like we had this huge, beautiful vista of the world. And then somebody handed us a, paper towel tube or a toilet paper tube, and now we're looking at the world through that. Our vision has become so tunneled because we've removed the possibility of everything that's not measurable. And so I really feel like, in a way, science has actually cut off its own legs. Because the answers to so much of that which it seeks are not measurable. But if we say, only if I can measure it, then it exists, then we've shot ourselves in the feet, literally. So one of my hopes for science is that it expands this. And the reason is, there's so much that is not explainable in the typical way that we explain things. I mean, for example, and it usually comes up around God. People